Okay, so it's now 5 minutes after. So we will just get into the Q&A portion. So I'm gonna just introduce you both really quick for the audience and whoever will join later, and then for folks who will watch the recording. So we have Miss Bianca McGee. Sorry, Miss Bianca. But Bianca is the founder of Plan, Profit, and Grow. She's a fractional CFO, and advisory and coaching firm that's helped hundreds of founders to navigate cash flow, profitability, and that money mindset. And I'm super excited to have you chat with us today about self-esteem and money. And then Miss Cheryl, you are the co-founder of Money, sorry, my
Play
screen is
money.
Play Money's Play Money series, sorry. And we are so excited to understand how you come to the mindset of money and helping women to reshape how they angel invest. And I think both of you ladies are doing some really cool things in your own spaces, and we need to have more, in my opinion, we need to have more women in spaces, um, especially when it comes to talking about self-esteem and money. So jumping into the first question is for Ms. Cheryl. So in your experience, I'd
Mhm.
love to hear, how does self-esteem influence an individual's financial decisions and their behaviors?
That is a good question. I've been on a little kick lately about a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset.
Hmm.
And I think it's tied right to self-esteem,
Yeah.
right? And an abundance, and I think we all need, regardless of our situations, if we can all get ourselves into an abundance mindset on money, that sort of backs up the self-esteem. Like I almost think they're one in the same, right? I am worthy of money. I can do the things I need to do to make myself feel secure. Um, there will be more money coming, not for the sake of money, but for what money allows me to do that aligns with my values, right? Whether that's security or freedom or building wealth to take care of yourself and other people, whether it means buying the things you enjoy. And I've been noticing a scarcity or an abundance mindset in everyone I encounter. And when I encounter people, I like to talk about money because it's usually a taboo. And it's usually a thing that feels overwhelming. And then it makes us feel small. And just talking about it and speaking about it makes it feel big, like makes you feel big, right? Like in my world, like I'm an angel investor. But I write baby checks. I write $1,500 checks, and I will tell everyone out there that I write the tiniest checks in the world. All of a sudden, my world is scarcity, pretty damn big. Um, so I don't know if that answers your question, but I think putting yourself in that mindset of you are worthy of this, and it is a means to an end of what is important for you, whether
Yeah.
it's freedom or helping someone or feeling secure.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think I honestly I had a conversation with someone I think earlier this week, and I mentioned something around like, I back when I initially started my company, I was
Mhm.
not charging nearly enough, and it was tied to how I felt about myself. And it was,
Mm.
my advisors would tell me hundreds of times, you're not charging enough money for what you do. And I'm like, well, I don't know if they'll pay, or I don't know if it's worth it. But at the end of the day, like, and all of that was tied to my self-worth and how I saw
Yep.
myself. And that's how I presented myself in my company. And that took a toll on how much revenue we were bringing in, So I
Yep.
think that was, it was an eye opener for me. And I hope that, people that are listening to this understand how closely your self-worth is tied to this abundance or scarcity mindset. So
Mhm.
you for that
One of
response.
my favorite friends coming up when I was coming up earlier in my career, he was a consultant, and his take was, if I don't want the project, I'm going to ask for more money on it. And
Mm,
like he was at a point, he was like, "Oh, you want me to do this project? I'm going to charge you $600 an hour." It was a ridiculous amount because he didn't care. And guess
yeah.
what? They started paying.
Oh,
And so
wow.
he created, in a no risk situation, he created this self perpetuating loop. Because you know what? Then he was the guy that got paid $600 an hour.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to crack that code. And like, let's
Yeah.
be really clear, I haven't totally cracked that code for myself personally, but I always think about him. And he created that sense of self worth on the thing where he had nothing to risk. His ego
Yeah.
wasn't involved. His neediness wasn't involved. He's like, I'll get business I like. So the stuff I don't like, I'm going to practice with.
I love that. Look, I'm gonna embed that mindset. Um, okay, so Bianca, this next question is for you. Can you share some examples where improving self-esteem has led to better financial outcomes for your clients?
Yes, yes. So I would say that to improve self-esteem, it involves increasing the positive emotion of confidence. And so for that to take place, I think we have to change the way that we experience and react to negative emotions. And when you think about finances, there are kind of three negative emotions that rule, if you will. So we have fear, guilt, and shame. And so with fear, that's going to cause us to hide or want to avoid. When we think about guilt, that's going to motivate us to want to fix things or repair. And then shame is going to make us or motivate us to hide. And so I like to help my clients to understand that their emotions are trying to tell them something. And so we're going to explore that without letting them run the show, so to speak. And that's the way that transformation can take place. So, what does that mean, like in the real world, for example? So, with fear and that causing people to maybe avoid looking at their financial situation, that then will create self sabotage because they're not going to take any action and not be able to fix the problem. And so then it's going to be worse. And so for me, it would sit with my clients and lay it all out on the table to see the full picture of what's going on. And then we can explore the options in order to fix what's happening. And that takes fear away because it's not this what if type situation. We're able to deal with the facts, and that allows us to explore the options. And so then we can put in place tangible plans. And by working those plans, it's had impacts on my clients of having six-figure increases in their revenue, in their profit, their take-home pay, and even being able to pay down debt. And then one other thing, let's talk about that emotion of guilt, right? So with guilt and people wanting to fix things immediately without considering whether there's a better or smarter way to handle the situation. And so where I see that coming up for clients, let's say back to the example of debt. Maybe they come into a windfall or a lump sum of money, and what they'll do is make large payments without a strategy behind it because they're just wanting to make it go away or make the balance to get smaller. So when we work together, it's taking a holistic look at what's going on to get to the root cause of what's causing that debt cycle, and having a plan to pay it down and for that to be lasting as opposed to, continuing the cycle. So those are some of the ways that by having more self-esteem and less of those negative emotions, then we can actually, make tangible progress that will be lasting.
This is so
Can I ask a
interesting.
question on that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
go ahead.
the way you named the emotions was so helpful. Do you name those emotions with your clients so they can use them, or is that just how you're sort of analyzing and guiding them?
No, it's important for them to recognize and be able to name what they're feeling, because I think that's one of the parts of it is if you are not addressing it and calling it out loud, then you allow it to remain and not to be able to do anything about it. So we have an emotions wheel, and that's part of the work, is working with the client to help them identify and name that emotion that they're feeling.
I love that.
I
So
love that.
effective.
Like, it is so effective. And it's so interesting how like everything is tied to these behaviors and it's rooted back down to like how you view yourself.
Right.
It's such a fascinating thing to look into. And I think when people really understand that their self-worth and self-esteem is so directly tied to the money that they make, I think they would start to do things or put things in place to actually develop a healthy sense of self-esteem. So thank you for that response, Bianca. So the next question
It's
is for
really good.
Cheryl. All right, so what strategies do you recommend for individuals struggling with self-doubt when it comes to managing their finances?
So I think this ties into like, if I could have asked you a follow-up question there, Bianca, it's like, do you see sometimes, because I see this, people, they hear money and all of a sudden they just go, oh, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know what to do with that. It feels scary and overwhelming because I mean, no one really teaches us how to do that. I've been reflecting a lot about what I need to teach my kids as they're going into their 20s that I might not have taught them before. But it feels like it's a place where we fall into self-doubt really quickly. And I don't know if you see that with your clients. I'm starting to see it with the folks I talk to a lot. Investing's hard. Money's hard. It's math. I don't know what to do, and we make it overwhelming, I think. And I don't know if you've seen that. I see a little bit of it. I think when it comes to that, like, break it down into small little things. Don't make it this giant overwhelming thing. Right? Like, if anyone's had like had to get medical procedures, right? Like, you get a whole pile of bills and you don't open them. And I used to run a healthcare fintech company, so we know this. People let the bills pile up because they feel overwhelming, and you're like afraid to open even one of them because you don't know what it holds. And what's been helpful for me, both personally and as I've, talked to folks about this stuff, is like breaking it down into the smallest things that you personally want to accomplish. Break it down into small, tiny tasks, right? Whether it's paying off debt or saving for retirement or making sure there's enough money in your budget to pay whatever's coming in on the tuition bill. And instead of dealing with the whole beast, what is the one thing I need to do first that I can gain control of? Because control builds self-confidence.
Yeah.
Control builds a milestone of success. I need to pay $100 on this bill. I need to sack away, $200 this month because I know this tuition bill's coming. So for me personally, breaking it down into baby tasks has been really helpful.
Yeah.
But it's built that confidence because then I can see myself achieving those things.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I've done that myself. Whenever and like you said, when those bills stack up, you don't even want to open them. That's exactly how it is. And I don't know why the mind works that way, but I probably still to this day, I have like just a stack of bills and I'm just like, I don't even want to open them
Yep.
because, so yeah, I
Yep.
totally understand that, but I like that strategy. Little baby steps, like I think it's someone uses a phrase, it's like how you eat an elephant or something like that.
Oh, one
Yeah,
bite at a
one
time.
bite at a
Yep.
Yeah, one bite
time.
at a time.
Yep.
Yeah. So like you can look at these small little baby steps in that same way.
Yep.
Um,
Well,
so I
it's
think
Bianca's fear. The pile of bills is
The fear.
fear.
Yeah.
Do it.
yes, the
Open
fear.
them all and do what you're going to find. Probably like half of them are duplicates. It's not the number may still be overwhelming, but you've gotten the fear out of the way and you are now
Yeah.
in control,
Control.
which
Yes.
boosts your self-esteem.
Yes, I totally agree with
You're the
that.
boss of the bills, even if you can't pay them.
Well, this leads me to a really great question for Bianca, which is like, so how can someone build financial confidence if they faced setbacks or any type of financial failures in the past?
Yeah, such a great question. And Cheryl, to your question, yes, I see that a lot and all of the time, in terms of that, reaction that people have to the word money or finances, and how they feel about themselves with handling it. I think that a lot of this is driven from the fact that you think about self-esteem and how that has to do with the person's identity. And it's shaped
Mhm.
by the experiences that we have in life. And so when we give meaning or interpretation to the experiences that we have, then that can impact our confidence. And that becomes the story that we tell ourselves or our beliefs. So I can think, like, for myself, being in finance and accounting, I've personally haven't experienced the feeling of, oh, I'm not good at math, or, any of those
Mhm.
things. But part of that is because growing up, I was told that I was good and smart and could do it, etc.
Mhm.
I know some of the clients that I have, though, who, are brilliant women, but had experiences growing up where, maybe it was a coworker or even a parent, women don't handle money
Mhm.
well, or this, that, or whatever. So it could be what people say,
Mhm.
or, an actual mistake maybe that you've had, that you've made in life with finances, that then kind of
Mhm.
taints the way you see it. So where I see a process that I have, it's like a 7-step process to help people to overcome that. So first is what we were talking
Mhm.
about. It's like gaining awareness. And so that's naming it, being able to take it out of the shadow and say what it is, that you're feeling and that you're dealing with. The second part comes in with having someone to help you to see beyond, your scope of life that you have, so that you can neutralize that experience. And so that's helping you to validate what you're feeling, and to support you in it, to say, you're not the first and not the last that's going to feel this way. And that it's okay, that you are in this particular situation, or that this has happened, and you can come from it. And then it's allowing or feeling that feeling. One of the things that gets us into a lot of trouble is that we judge ourselves because of the mistakes that we've made, or trying to change the way that we feel. But just allowing it, to sit with it, and that can be very helpful. And then what we would do is be able to dive into actually the situation that happened. And this is so that we can rewrite that belief or that story that you're telling yourself about the failure or the mistake that you had. So getting the facts about what happened, because a lot of times it's blurred by our emotions, or what we're thinking, versus being based on facts and what actually has happened, and then the feeling you assign to it, and then the meaning that you gave to that event that happened. And so that event plus the emotion and the explanation is the current belief that you have right now. And so then, now that you can clearly see what's happening in this situation, then you taking your power back, like we talked about, having that control, which helps you for self-esteem. And so you have the opportunity to make a decision. Do you want to keep that belief, or do you want something else that's going to be, more helpful and advantageous to what you're trying to do? And so then to change that belief, you can choose a different emotion that you feel about the event, and ultimately, that change in emotion is going to then change and give you a different explanation of what happened. And then that will allow you to have a new belief. And then you're going to practice that new belief, until it becomes your identity. So that's the whole retraining or rewiring of your brain when you are trying to come back from financial setbacks.
Oh my gosh, I love everything about that. I
Right?
hope all of our folks on the line are like taking massive notes from Cheryl and Bianca, because y'all are dropping some like major gems. I'm actually gonna I want to start to do that myself. That 7 step. I'm super excited to start with you in January, by the way,
Mhm.
Bianca. So when we
Yes.
did
Oh,
the
perfect.
panel in October, you mentioned something about a money therapist. I had no idea that that even existed. Like I knew that they were therapists, but I had no idea like these
Mm-hmm.
money therapists will help you navigate through like these ideas that you have around money and help you reframe those beliefs, because those beliefs do stick with you. Like I used to hear all day long, money is the root of all evils. It was like, well, I don't want to be evil, so maybe I don't need a lot of
Right.
money. Or like you're money hungry, things like that. And those things,
Mm.
those things people say, they stick with you for so
Yeah.
long, and they play such a huge part in like how you spend, how you think you can make money. I don't know why I would always put like a ceiling on the money that I thought that I could make. And I had to continue to like rewrite that story for myself. So thank you. That was so
Yeah.
good. Okay,
Mhm.
so the next
Brilliant. Like
question is
I'm like in my mind, I'm cataloging people that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna send to you, Bianca.
yes, yes.
I want us
I
to all
mean,
be okay.
right? You get them out of their past trauma and you move them into an abundance mindset, and then I
Yeah.
can take them and like teach them what to do with that abundance. Like we're the 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
totally
love
agree.
it.
So the next question is for you, Cheryl. So it's
Uh-oh.
really around practical steps to enhance this financial confidence. So what role does financial education play in boosting one's self-esteem related to money management?
So I think there's probably two parts of this question. There's the Bianca part of this question, right? Like harnessing the emotions and the feelings. And then there's the education of once you've got those feelings under control,
Yeah.
there's what are you doing with that money? And it looks like, and I'm going to say the word investing, and I'm going to say that word loosely, because investing can be paying your bills or paying down debts or actually building for your future or your family's future. And it sounds, and I'm talking from experience here, like it sounds so intimidating from the outside.
Yeah.
But when you get in the middle of it, it's some very basic steps, I think. So it's not so hard, right?
Mhm.
Like simple stuff like pay yourself,
Yes.
right? Like, okay, some stuff goes to bills, and then how do you pay yourself? And what's the right way to do that for you? Is it paying down debt? Is it putting together a little FU fund? Is it building credit that substitutes for that FU fund? Or is it investing? And then I think we overcomplicate it.
Mhm.
I think we overcomplicate it. And sometimes it's best to like break it down really simply. What's the next thing I want to do? Right? Once you wrestle your demons and you're in this mindset of abundance and a little bit of control, then it gets overwhelming again. So how do we break it down into those small steps? And that's at least what's worked for me.
Yeah.
What's the next thing I need to do? Oh, I've been a founder for 12 years and I have 4 kids and I had them early. I'm still saving for retirement. What are my next steps on that? How do I pay myself first? How do I understand that investing? If I put this much away now, what's that going to be in 10 years or 15 years? And around those things, sometimes it's just really the very basic principles, right? So like Bianca, like you, I was always good at math. I
Yeah.
actually went to business school and I went at MIT. Yet it was probably when I was 45 that the notion of compounding interest and how if I invested a little bit early, that money was gonna double every like, I don't know, nine years or so. It didn't sink into what that meant until I was 45.
Mhm.
So I think it's some really simple concepts. It's not that it doesn't have to be complex. Some really simple concepts that allow us to take action. Like, let me tell you, if I had figured out that compounding interest thing when I was younger, I had a son who was getting, a little bit of child support every week. I'd have put some of that away because it would be worth a ton now. I wasn't processing like that because I was processing from a scarcity mindset. If I had moved into an abundance mindset with a tiny bit of knowledge, I could have done a lot more.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not sure that answers your question, but
No, that answers my question perfectly, honestly. And I do think it's a two-part, I guess, answer, because you have to focus on the things that Bianca pointed out, right? Initially, because if
mhm.
you don't, it's kind of like when people win the lottery, right? You win the lottery, you win $1 million, but you're
Yep.
still a scarcity mindset. So you do not have the right financial education to make smart decisions with the money.
Mhm,
So then, so
mhm,
million, and then a year later you're broke, you know? So, and honestly, for me, I'm always thinking about it. It's sort of like a sensory overload, because there are so many ways to like invest your money or double your or whatever the case is. So it's like, all right, well, do I want to do real estate? Do I want to do maybe vending machines because somebody said that that was a good idea? Like, it's like, well, what do I want to do to make sure that I am keeping the money flowing? So I do feel like for some people it can become a bit overwhelming, but especially when you don't have the education piece behind it. So yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head with that one. Um, so then I'm curious, this last question is for you, Bianca. So could you please provide us with some practical exercises or habits that individuals can adopt to align their financial goals with a positive self-image?
Yes, yes. And I'll get to that. But if I could just a little bit on what you were just talking about too, I think that that's why it's so important to um, reach out and to go to attend events, listen to webinars like this so that you can build your knowledge. And, you know, a lot of times why people maybe are not able to kind of grasp that is, again, the self-esteem, maybe feeling that they don't belong in the circles where they're talking about those things, or that the way that it's being presented is in such a way that it's not easily understood or grasped. So just encourage people to seek out those opportunities, know that there are people and resources, you know, that are wanting to help you and to be able to, you know, learn the things that you need to learn.
Yeah.
So just a quick plug for that. Um, but in terms of like practical examples and habits that can be helpful with your financial goals and your positive self-image, I think two things that come to mind. One is the way that people are setting goals. So you want to create goals in a way that allows you to gain consistency and momentum as opposed to a 180 radical, you know, turnaround that you're trying to do. So by experiencing wins, that's how you can build your self-esteem and build your confidence and self-trust so that you can continue to make progress. And so one way to do that is when you're making your goals to think about making them smart. And so many of us have been in corporate or various other places and we've heard that
mhm,
acronym, but there's just a few slight adjustments to make to it. So the S, think of it being small. So take small steps toward, you know, the financial goals that you're trying to achieve. M is still measurable, so you want it to be quantifiable. Maybe that's a specific dollar amount, or it could be a rating, like on a scale with your emotions, if it's kind of more of a qualitative goal that you have. Making it appealing. So picking goals or outcomes that feel fun and rewarding. And then R, you want to make it realistic. So you're not looking for perfection. You want to leave room for yourself being a human and understanding if that financial goal that you're setting, does it fit in and are you able to achieve it with everything else you have going on in your life? Or is it some impossible goal, right? That's just going to leave you feeling defeated because you're not able to achieve it. And then for T, making it time sustainable. So any substantial financial goal that you have, it's going to take time in order for you to make progress. And so you want to know, is this something that you can be doing for a while? And because we're looking to make changes that's going to last a lifetime and it's a shift in your identity, not just doing something for a month. So that's one thing. thinking about the way that you're setting your goals. And then the second piece that I would say that's really helpful is having a process to intentionally celebrate your wins and being able to make it visible. So studies show that our brain is very attuned to having a negativity bias. And that means we pay more attention to the negative experiences and information that we see or have in our life. And so it takes 3 times more positive experiences to offset one negative. So we want to be able to look intentionally for the positive that's going on in our life as it relates to our finances. And so again, in order for it to be positive, that goes back to it being smart so that it's actually achievable. And then having a way to tell our brains and recognize and remember the achievements that we have achieved. So that could be being able to identify ahead of time how you're going to celebrate when you achieve your financial goal. Personally, I would recommend having some type of emotional experience or a tangible item so that you can relive or recall the joy that you feel when you've achieved your goal. Having regular check-ins, so maybe that's monthly, quarterly, or annually, where you're going to review what's gone well, what lessons have you learned, versus focusing on, how far you still have left to go or what hasn't gone right. And then you can also make it visible with trackers. I actually have a little jar that I put little marbles of different things in that can be tied to your goal. So maybe you are able to add something to it, if you have a goal around not spending. So, however many days that you don't spend, or perhaps for, each additional revenue milestone that you achieve if you have a business, or the amount that you pay off for debt. So the most important thing though is for you to be able to make it fun and frequent, that you're able to measure that and rewiring your brain again, so that it's looking for those positive things and the progress that you've made.
Yeah, I love that. Fun and frequent is, I'm gonna
Yes.
make sure, and like
I love that.
celebrating the
Yep.
small wins, I think is like something, even myself as like a founder, it's hard for me to like celebrate myself. It's like I did this on to the next, and but it's such a great habit to have when you're like, okay, I accomplished this thing. And you don't have to do anything like super huge and lavish, but just do something to celebrate that win, because it's gonna feed you, give you like that dopamine effect to keep doing it and doing it and doing it again.
Yes.
And then really help to change your mindset so you can change your behaviors. But thank you. That was such great information. Did you have anything, Cheryl?
I would add on top of that, like if you are that friend in your group of friends, share that process with your friends. One thing I learned in doing customer discovery for my new business is that women in particular are hungry for talk about money. So if you're the crazy friend in your group, share that process with them, because they're going to learn from it, and it's going to open them up, and that you can all grow together.
Yeah.
And it's the one taboo, particularly for women, we're told not to talk about. But if you can be that brave friend, no matter where you are in that journey, to share it with your friends, you're going to change the dynamic in a really positive way.
Yeah, no, very true, very true. I think you, as women, as we share more of this information with one another, like we're gonna start to see a shift. I mean, we see the shift now. I think I read something maybe a couple weeks ago that said we are going into the greatest wealth shift because there are so many women coming into like billions of dollars.
Yep.
And this is going to be something that is going to change the landscape of how money is spent and where money is put. And I think having conversations like these with more women is just going to allow us to become more educated and help us to change our mindsets and rewrite our money stories so that we can all become financially abundant, because at the end of the day, I think that's what we all want. Like,
Yep.
So, I mean, I think this was such a great session. I so appreciate y'all for joining. I know we have some folks in the chat, but we have about 30 minutes left, and I want to let Miss Cheryl and Bianca, I'll relieve you all, because we had y'all for 30 minutes, and I think this was a wonderful conversation to go into the next, part of the webinar. But if y'all have any last words, if y'all want to share how to find you, how to connect with you all, please do that. And then we'll make sure to add links into the webinar when we upload it to the platform.
Thank you
Well, thank
so
you.
much.
Yep, I was saying the same thing. Thank you for having me. What a great Friday evening.
Yes, thank y'all so much. And I'm sure Bianca and I will chat soon. And Cheryl, please text me the next time you're in Abu Dhabi.
I know. I hope I'm back soon.
Yes, you have to come back.
I will. I love it there.
All
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, so audience members, so what I'm gonna do now, I hope everybody enjoyed that 30-minute Q&A session with Cheryl and Bianca. I think they definitely gave us some gems, and this is going to go into the next part of the presentation. So I'm gonna share my screen and go over a couple of things as soon as I find my share screen button. Yeah, bear with me. Okay, let's see here. Okay. JC, is my full screen showing or is it different?
Yes, it's showing, Margot.
Okay, great. Okay, so we chatted a bit with Cheryl and Bianca about obviously self-esteem and money. So we know that self-esteem plays a huge part in how financially abundant we are. So what I want to do now is go over a couple of questions around or responses around how do you understand the connection between self-esteem and financial success, really recognizing the impacts of self-esteem on financial behavior. And then like we obviously talked about what self-esteem has to do with money. I think for me growing up, I've always been taught that money is the root of all evil. We all may have experienced similar types of upbringings, or maybe you have a different thought around money. Maybe you grew up with a different thought around money, but all of that shapes how you feel about yourself and then how you show up in the world, how you make money, whether you have your own business, whether you're in a corporate setting and you're afraid to ask for a raise because you're not really understanding your self-worth and what you bring to the table. So you're timid and you're not reaching your full financial potential because of that. So when it comes to the other part around why self-esteem and money is so important is because key to what Bianca and Cheryl said, self-esteem is the foundation to financial success. So it affects your view on financial worth. Confidence enables you to take risks, negotiate these salaries, and then make smarter financial decisions. I think I read something about people who have a higher self-esteem, they make a lot more money than people with a lower self-esteem because they are advocating for themselves. So confidence equals that financial growth. And a couple of key points is, they're more likely to ask for raises when you have a healthy self-esteem. You're better at managing financial stress and setbacks. Your net worth often matches your self-worth. I think we've often heard that phrase before. I know that I have. And yeah, this is a statistics. 31% of people with higher self-esteem achieve better financial outcomes. So when you start to realize that how you feel about yourself is affecting your coins, then this should drive you to want to make some type of change within how you view yourself. So, you talk about how do you develop a healthy self-esteem. So we obviously understand what some of those drivers are behind some of the behaviors, but what is the cost of having low self-esteem? You have missed opportunities. So you're not asking for what you're worth, poor financial decisions, this procrastination, fear of failure. I know there was a time when I didn't feel like I can go after this client, and this client would have changed the game for my company. But because I didn't feel confident in myself and the product that I was presenting, I completely missed an opportunity. And I want to say about 12 months later, I saw that that same individual, or that same company rather, opted into a contract with a similar company to mine. And to this day, I look back at the opportunity that I missed because I lacked that sense of self-worth going after that. And then it's also around like you have this huge procrastination. So for me, and I don't know how many of you all have went through this before, but I often or I used to procrastinate to put proposals together because I was fearing this rejection. So as opposed to me meeting with a potential or prospect and then sending them a proposal right after we met, I would wait like 5 or 6 days, and then I finally got the proposal out. But at that time, now the momentum is gone. So that was another missed opportunity. And that procrastination only went back to this fear of failure and me not wanting to be rejected because of how I felt about myself. Um, and then obviously this takes like an emotional toll on you. The burnout and the anxiety around money, I've experienced that multiple times. I don't know how many of you have experienced these certain amounts of anxiety around money, and you are afraid that you get money and then you're going to lose it. And it's sort of like a perpetual thing, and it keeps happening over and over and over. And then you find yourself in these same situations where you're lacking money and you're afraid to have money because you may lose it. And it's all tied to, again, how you feel about yourself and these certain behaviors that come with that. So when it comes to low self-esteem and poor decisions and anxiety, this financial stress, you're asking yourself, well, isn't this lowering my self-esteem even more? And the answer is yes, it is. So you have to change behaviors. So why do we struggle with money and self-esteem? Um, I know Bianca and Cheryl touched on it earlier, but you have these limiting beliefs early in life. Money is hard to manage. Money is the root of all evil. There's fear of rejection or judgment in your negotiating skills or making decisions. And then you have this lack of financial education, which is then paired with self-doubt. So all of these are reasons that we are struggling with money. So what's possible when you build the confidence? So imagine confidently asking for what you're worth. You go to your boss and you say, look, I want a raise. And if that person, if that company is not giving you a raise, maybe you take a career change. Maybe you go to a different company and you have something to bargain with because this company X is going to pay you more than company B, and you go to your boss with that information. But you have to visualize yourself taking risks that actually pay off. Something that I learned to do from a podcast that I listened to called The Mindset Mentor is take the thing that you're like super afraid of, like whatever you fear the most, and you imagine that fear coming true for about 10 minutes. And after you imagine that fear, then you look at it as if you are ready to take whatever that is, you're ready to take it on. So you're getting rid of that fear, that feeling that has when you the feeling that you have when that fear kind of takes over you, and you already know what to expect. So then you're able to put your best foot forward, especially when it comes to things like taking calculated risks. And then picture managing your finances without stress. This was a huge thing for me. I don't know how many of you all do anything around visualization, but it's a very powerful tool. And it honestly, it helps to calm your mind and it helps to calm your body when you are imagining things going really great and you have really amazing feelings behind everything that you ask for coming to fruition. That does it makes a world of difference when you are adding visualization techniques to a lot of these points here. So then my question is sort of, what is holding you back? I think it's a great idea for anyone who is having issues around either getting money, keeping money, asking for the money that they're worth, to to ask themselves, okay, what is actually holding me back? So the first step to this financial confidence is just recognize that it is possible. I know that may be difficult for some people because you grew up thinking that maybe you were thinking, okay, I'm not meant to be rich. I'm not meant to have a lot of money. I'm meant to struggle, or I'm meant to live check to check. But I don't think that we were put here to be in a financial strain or have scarcity in any way, shape, or form. You're supposed to have an abundant mindset. And this is with everything, including money. So the first step is obviously realize that it's possible. Bianca touched on this earlier, small shifts in mindset create significant results. So instead of telling yourself, oh, I can't afford that, say, I can't afford it yet. Or I have no idea what that investment landscape is all about. Just say, I don't know about it yet, but take the steps that you need in these small shifts in your mindset to create these significant results. And then you don't need to figure it out alone. I believe Bianca or Cheryl may have dropped their information in the chat. And if they did not, I will make sure to email everyone on the list with their information. Bianca does money coaching. I'm actually going to do a couple of sessions with her starting in 2025. I've never had a money coach before, so this is something very different for me. But I know that I want to take my ability to generate revenue, from where I am right now to where I want to go. And I know it's possible with a shift in my mindset. So, a couple of things. You can begin your transformation by enrolling in a journey to self-esteem. So a journey to self-esteem is a 13 module course, and each module is carefully designed to really guide you step by step toward building this unshakable self-esteem. And it allows you to master your self-worth. So you're really going to learn how to embrace your unique strengths and then overcome these limiting beliefs. Each module literally goes through tactical exercises that you can apply in 3 to 5 minute video sessions. So you're going to gain a lot of tools that will allow you to enhance your personal and professional growth. And then these actionable items that I'm giving you, these are things that people may tell you, oh, well, you have a fear of failure or you have imposter syndrome, but oftentimes you don't have the practical steps to take to actually get rid of that fear of failure or get rid of the imposter syndrome. And the benefits of learning these things is you're going to constantly apply each one of these techniques to your everyday life. And it's going to make the relationship with yourself a lot stronger. So then you're making a lot more confident decisions, and then you're achieving your goals. So when it comes to things that will happen if you don't enroll in this course. You're just going to continue to struggle with self-doubt and this negative self-talk. I have this little voice in my head, and I've learned a couple of techniques that allow me to just kind of cancel that voice. And I've heard this question a couple of times, like, what do you do when the negative voice in your head is just so bad and it's really forcing you to do to not reach your full potential? There are certain techniques that we go through in these modules that we're teaching you how to not get rid of the negative voice in your head, but turn that negative voice into a more kind voice. But then you're also going to miss out on these proven strategies to build and sustain confidence. I don't think that I'm alone in this, but I know that 85% of adults struggle with low self-esteem. When I was in school, nobody taught me, well, what is self-esteem? I've never learned how to develop a healthy self-esteem and what that was all about until I was around 20. And honestly, this was through my time in the military. So you've been able to gain information around how to sustain your self-esteem. It's going to be a game changer for you. But then if you don't enroll, maybe feeling stuck, unmotivated, or unsure of how to unlock your potential, that feeling will still stay. And then, losing access to this step-by-step framework that could literally change your life. I applied these tactics and tools to my life, and it's only improved from there, honestly. And it all started with me recognizing that I needed to improve my self-esteem. So when you enroll in Enrichly, it's a course that it's about learning, it's about changing your mindset, which then leads to a change in behavior. You're also going to have access to this supportive community and tools that help you to stay motivated. And then, start your self-esteem journey today. And I kid you not, see the difference that it makes in a week. And then that week is going to turn into a month, that month into 3 months, and then a year, and so on and so forth. Oh, so if you want to enroll in that course, just scan this QR code. And JC, if you can please put the QR code in the chat, or the link in the chat as well, that would be great. But if you do have little children, enrolling in this platform is a great tool for yourself. But then you can also enroll your children in courses and games that teach them how to develop a healthy self-esteem, so that you all are developing your self-esteem as a family. So the link to this QR code will be in the chat. Now, for those of you who want more of an in-depth session where, you want to get personalized, sessions on how to improve your financial confidence, then I do have an incubator that is starting in January. And this incubator is going to go through, it's an 8-week program. And some of the benefits of the program, it allows you to master your money mindset. So we're going to do things, practical exercises in real time around reframing your limiting beliefs. We're also going to come up with some financial goals that we want to achieve, and learn negotiation skills. I learned these early on, and because I know how to negotiate, I would say I've raised about 1.5 million in investor funding, and I've grown about 2 million in revenue, but I've been able to negotiate pretty extensively, but I had to learn those skills. And those are some of the things that we'll go over in this incubator. Am I going the wrong way? Sorry, the slides are going the wrong way. Okay, yeah. So then also you're going to develop some healthy financial habits. So when it comes to just splurge spending, we're going to understand how to build these consistent routines that are empowering you to manage and grow your wealth. And then transform self-doubt into confidence. this is the theme of this series, which is like self-esteem and money. So we have to do things that are going to transform this self-doubt, this unhealthy self-esteem that we have, transform that into this confidence that's going to allow us to go into 2025 really mastering our goals. And then obviously access to expert support. So you'll get time with me, but then I'll also invite mentors and experts in different fields to join live sessions and be there to support you within the community. And they're only going to be focused on your growth. So what you'll miss if you don't enroll, you're going to stay stuck in self-doubt and your fear around money decisions, continue to miss opportunities and grow your income or wealth because you have this lack of confidence, and then continue to feel overwhelmed. I don't think anyone wants to go into 2025 feeling overwhelmed or unprepared when it comes to money. And then you're going to lose access to these exclusive tools and frameworks that are really just designed to help you thrive and reach your full potential and reach your goals. And again, why you should enroll, because it's more than just knowledge. I'm literally giving you a step-by-step system to transform your mindset and your finances. And then you're going to leave this incubator program with a clear roadmap to build this lasting financial confidence and abundance. And then, you're going to have my guidance, proven tools. I would like to say I am my own company's success story because I was able to apply a lot of the tactics that I'm telling you about today to what I do in real life. I grew a company from the ground up. I did not have a technology background, but I was able to grow a company to where we're in several different countries. We have venture-backed funding. And all of that really was because I had to work on how I viewed myself, and that impacted how I showed up in the world. So if you want to enroll, you can scan this QR code, and JC can put the link in the chat as well. But the program starts in January, and the goal is to start the year off on the right foot. And that means changing mindset so that we can change our behaviors. Because honestly, the same thought leads to the same behavior, leads to the same experience. And if you want to start to change these things that you experience, then you have to start changing your thoughts so that you can change your behaviors. So yeah, if you want to connect with me, feel free to WhatsApp me, contact me via email, follow our page Enrichly on Facebook and Instagram. But I really hope that you all are going to take the next steps towards this financial freedom by helping to shift your mindset, improve your self-esteem, improve your life. It's something that I live by. Self-worth drives so many decisions that we make. So I hope to see y'all in January, and thank you for joining.